Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of our weekly coaching webinar. I'm really excited everybody could join us today. So today we're going to be talking about a new product, really, that we're getting ready to roll out. Now, we're not getting ready to roll this out just yet. As a matter of fact, your clients probably won't see this for at least 6 months, even though you will get an opportunity to participate as soon as, I don't know, tomorrow. It should be this week. So I want to introduce you to this because this is going to be a big game changer. I don't say this lightly. When I've been in this industry for about a decade, and in the decade that I've been in it, this is the biggest game changer that I've ever seen that actually really simplifies people's ability to build business credit. A lot doesn't change in the industry, like things shift. Some vendors report, some vendors don't. Some cash credits here, some cash credit goes away. Those type of changes are pretty common. But something like this, a technology that's designed that can dramatically shift how business credit's built, is something that's just extremely rare. As a matter of fact, this has been something we've kept an eye on for over a year now before it's actually come into fruition, and it took years before to even get to this point. So want to fill you in on that, want to introduce you to this today, talk to you a little bit more about how this is going to work, because you're going to start to see this information floating around there, especially in our main Facebook group, as we are looking for our first 50 people to bring in to the beta to test this out for actual release. So first of all, hope you enjoy the updated look and feel of the Finance Suite. As you probably already know by now, we released an update earlier this week that changed the entire look and feel of the actual system. Now, we did this for a couple reasons. We did this for one, just to make it look a little bit better, crisper, and cleaner. We also did it because we need more real estate. What's happened is, as we've added more features here throughout the last couple of years with business valuation, we've added credit monitoring, we've got what we're going to talk about today. We've just run out of real estate here in our left side menu. So part of the reason we made this change was to move some things, including your account, business profile, and contact us, up here to the top of the Finance Suite, which leaves us more real estate here for other things that we're going to be rolling out, including the fundability score, which integrates with LexisNexis, and some other things that we'll be talking about today. So today, I guess I really want to talk to you about the newest thing that we're going to be working on. We will dive into fundability, talk a little bit about that LexisNexis rollout, which is probably going to take place mid-year as well, because these are going to be the things that will start occupying some of this space here on the left-hand side, which is part of the reasons that we made these changes. So, of course, as always, if you have any questions, feedback on what you see with the new enhancements, please let us know. We welcome the feedback. We go through an elaborate process of getting feedback and doing surveys before we do any kind of release. So, of course, we love to hear from you. You can go to right here to contact us, and we will talk to you a little bit more. So today, I want to talk to you really about our newest rollout that is going to happen in a limited test, which will happen as soon as tomorrow. The reason I'm waiting right now is I just need the actual links, some links to be completed to get this up and running. But what we're going to be doing is rolling out a brand new product. We're going to be testing this as a beta test just with a group of 50 users to begin with. There's a lot of things we need to test. We'll talk about what we're testing, why we're testing, what this is going to do in today's webinar. But the purpose here is for us to really get an idea of what works, how it works, how long things take to report, what kind of things can be reported, etc., which we'll dive into a little bit later. So the product that we're going to be rolling out is called our Advanced Credit Monitoring Program. You can see a little bit of this right here. So this Advanced Credit Monitoring Program does some things now and will continue to do some things as we advance this into the next year that make business credit building easier than it's ever been before. So first of all, the first thing we do is we take our nav integration right here with Experian and DMB, and that is part of the credit monitoring platform. Now, just so you know, one of the biggest changes to this over the first quarter of next year is going to be that Equifax will be added. NAV now has the ability to get Equifax data. They are just building out the technology, and we will be working with them to be the first to get the technology to actually make it front-facing announcing it available. So customers will be able to probably by the end of the first quarter access not just through the advanced credit monitoring, but through the regular credit monitoring, Experian and Dun & Bradstreet as they can now, as well as their actual Equifax and pricing, things like that. We still don't know. There's still some unknowns, but we expect that to happen the first quarter of the year. So the first thing this advanced credit monitoring has is it has this NAV integration, which if you haven't seen, you should. This is credit monitoring with Experian, with Dun & Bradstreet that you can get, that your clients can get for only 24 bucks. So to give you an idea, Dun & Bradstreet charges $149 for theirs and Experian is 50. So it's about 200 bucks a month to get what clients get for 24. And when you're selling the finance suite, you really have got to spend some time with this because the idea here is that if a client's not using us, doesn't know what to do, most people don't know about NAV, what they're going to do is they're going to go to Experian and D&B to monitor their credit. That's going to cost them $2,200 to $2,500 a year because it's about 2,400 bucks a year because it's 200 bucks a month. With our NAV integration, it's less than $300 a year. So you should know that because if you're out there selling finance suites for $2,500 to $3,500, well, you got to think that it's going to cost them $2,200 extra a year just to go out there and monitor their own business credit through Experian and D&B, which is probably what they're going to do if it's not for you. So that's a massive, a major selling point for you when it comes to establishing the value of what you're selling. So the advanced credit monitoring has this integration. If you haven't already seen these, you're able to see the Experian score and telescore. You're able to get an idea of what the score means, to get a quick overview of days beyond terms, the basic information for the business. You're able to compare where your business and how your business compares to all other businesses, risk rating here. And then you're able to get a lot of information, including the BIN number, which is the business identification number from Experian. It's similar to the DUNS number with D&B, but it's Experian's number of identifying a record. SIC code, NAICS codes. NAICS codes are going to replace SIC codes from the IRS. And you're also able to see, even if they have you listed as multiple SIC codes, which you can see is not uncommon, right? You can see here that Pixar has 3 SIC codes and 3 NACIS codes. You can also see found the date, address, number of employees, gross revenue, sales, key personnel, as well as factors influencing scores, overview of days beyond terms, and then an overview of trade lines too. How many active trade lines they have, total trade lines, balances, highest 6 month, lowest 6 months average, as well as all legal filings you can see here as well. Tax liens, trade account summary is here, and then you can actually see the actual specifics as you go through here too. So this is a good summary tab. Then we go to accounts. Accounts has all of the actual specific information for every trade account that's reported, public filings, even alerts. And alerts tell you of notification of changes that you should be aware of on your business credit report, so you can keep an eye on these things that are changing. Now, of course, that's available through Experian and Dun & Bradstreet. So Dun & Bradstreet's Paydex scores here, what the Paydex score means, the business information, the DUNS number versus that BIN number we see here, number of employees, similar summary data here, liabilities, legal filings, asset, etc. Even lawsuits, tax liens, that information is here, as well as being able to come in and look at the specific accounts reported with Dun & Bradstreet, an overview of total, all the specifics, seeing public filings, and then also setting alerts. So again, the advanced credit monitoring has the same integration with NAV that customers are going to spend the regular credit monitoring with, and this Equifax will be added to this as well. And I'm pretty sure we're going to roll out Equifax with both. Now, the other thing that this does is it also integrates with Creditsafe. So you're able to come in and actually pull a detailed Creditsafe report from Creditsafe as well. Now, if you're not familiar with Creditsafe, you should be, because Creditsafe is massive overseas. When it comes to the UK, when it comes to a lot of countries in Europe, we're starting to see Asia, Creditsafe is like wildfire. The way it usually works with credit reporting agencies is you have these smaller regional credit reporting agencies that get some kind of steam, and then the bigger guys buy them out. Creditsafe is not that case. Creditsafe is nowhere close to getting bought out by a reporting agency. They have well surpassed that small size, and they are becoming behemoths in the space of business credit building. So what we're starting to see is they're already starting to develop a strategy here in the United States. We're already starting to see them market to the United States. They're soliciting credit issuers and lenders here in the United States, and more credit issuers, more and more lenders are starting to use Creditsafe data to make lending and credit issuing decisions. To be honest with you, if Creditsafe had access to the same data that Experian and D&B has, I think from all my experience that Creditsafe has more detailed reports than the others, just by far. I mean, the data you're able to really see on Creditsafe reports is insane compared to the other reporting agencies, and I'll show you a little bit of what I mean by that as well. So what's going to happen is as more lenders and credit issuers are using Creditsafe, then it becomes very important that we help our customers access the Creditsafe information. So you're starting to see the finance suite, and I don't know if in this example I could pull that up. We're starting to see on the business credit builder that you're starting to see Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, Experian, and Creditsafe. So we're starting to coordinate with Creditsafe and find out who is reporting to them, find the credit issuers that are reporting to Creditsafe as well, and we're starting to add that to the finance suite when you actually come in and look at every source. So when we look at these sources that report here, you can see some of them, you'll start to see Creditsafe pop up. And I'm not sure, we don't know of a lot of them. We're just starting this process. But the other day I looked and started to see Creditsafe. So you will start to see that Creditsafe will start to populate right here with the other reports because, again, it becomes so important that people access them. As a matter of fact, it becomes so important that when they purchase advanced credit monitoring, that purchase reports as a trade line on their Creditsafe credit report. So we're giving them their first trade line. We're helping establish the credit profile and score with Creditsafe right away with getting the advanced credit monitoring because it's so important to get the trade lines. And the problem we're having is that a lot of people don't report to them yet. So even Creditsafe, as Creditsafe becomes more and more important and more lenders and credit issuers use them, it's also more difficult for people to actually get items on Creditsafe credit reports because not as many people are reporting to them. So again, that's why we're starting to add accounts that report to Creditsafe on the business credit reports. That's why we're taking the first payment that somebody makes and it reports to Creditsafe. This is also why we take all the payments you pay us and they get reported to Creditsafe as well. Whether you're an executive client, that's a trade line. If you come in and enrolled as a partner, that's a trade line. If whatever you're buying and getting prepaid enrollments, that's a trade line. So we're adding trade lines for these things, these purchases that you're making as a result to help you establish that credit with Creditsafe. It becomes so important. So clients are then going to be able to access this. They're able to access what's called the Creditsafe credit or the risk rating. This has all their summary, company information, credit limit. They're able to get all their basic business information here as well, address information. They're able to get those SIC codes that we saw, and we can see they're even reporting more SIC codes than the other reporting agencies, miscellaneous information, years in business, NAI, and we already looked at those codes as well, commentaries, if anything is being added as comments. Then we can see that risk rating credit score. We can also see credit limit recommendation, as well as many other things. Previous credit limit, highest credit limit, 6-month average of credit limit is all on their credit reports as well. And then we're able to see where they actually rank with their actual risk rating. Okay, and then we're also able to see the trade and payment information as well for credit issuers. That's on here, including the summary data. Even directors, key personnels are on here. Legal filing information is on here. UCC filing, tax liens, bankruptcies. This is an actual, what we're doing is we're actually going into Creditsafe. We're pulling their PDF business credit report, and we are then populating it right here for clients to use. So this is the first place ever that clients are able to access Experian and D&B and Creditsafe credit reports in the exact same place. And in order to do this, we've had to do some things with these guys that's never been done before. When it comes to NAV, we are the first, and as far as I know, the only affiliate they have that takes their technology and integrates it into ours. And we are now the same with Creditsafe. As a matter of fact, we spent a long time getting this thing released, months, because we had to work with Creditsafe because their API sucked and was broken and didn't work. And they didn't believe us, and we showed them, and then they had to make all kinds of changes to even make it where this was possible. So we store their Creditsafe business credit reports right here as well. Now, again, Equifax will be added here probably the first quarter of the year. So what's going to happen is we're basically taking all of the credit reporting agencies and putting them in one place for them to access everything that they need to get, they're able to get in one place. Now, the biggest change, the biggest enhancement, the thing that is probably the most important is right here, where we have now for the first time ever made it possible to add utility accounts to business credit reports. This has never, ever been done before. As a matter of fact, this beta test, I feel safe to say the 50 people we put in there will be 50 of the first 100 in the world that have ever had utility data actually added to their credit reports. The data will actually get added through Experian, and it will also get added through Creditsafe credit reports as well. So what kind of information can be added? First, we start with utility accounts. So utility accounts are going to include water. They're going to include electric. They're going to include satellite TV, internet as well, even gas. All those things can be added. Now, if you're working with somebody that has a home-based business, then they're then able to use those accounts for their home because part of those are going for the business and use those to add them to the business credit reports. So obviously, this goes without saying that this is a massive shift in what we're doing. Look, you know the same problems that I know, right? Is that people struggle typically building business credit right here in the initial step, in step one. In step three, in round one of getting trade lines. And the reason for this is that they typically just can't access vendors that actually report to the reporting agencies. Okay, as a matter of fact, we've partnered and made a lot of relationships here with unique sources like DS Design just because they actually have services that our clients really want and need. Okay, so it's very difficult. And we never announce these. We never, on education, we never show or never talk about these. I never mention these as sources because we want to keep these unique to you and our clients that are in the back end, right? So that's important. But the problem is that, first of all, over 97% of trade vendors just don't report to the business credit reporting agencies. So, over 9 out of 10 that you might get credit with don't report the credit to the reporting agency. So a lot of people think they have credit with business credit reporting agencies, but they don't because the credit actually doesn't report. If you get credit with a vendor that does report, the problem there is a lot of them don't sell things that you may want or need. So, for example, Grainger and Gimplers are two of my favorite vendors to build business credit. But the problem with Grainger is that they sell outdoor supplies. There's just not a lot of stuff that people working in offices really can get from Grainger. You can get batteries, you can get first aid kits, and I'm not saying you can't find things you need. Everybody can. But some of these vendors, it's more difficult. And so the result is that you and I have clients that are coming in and that are buying stuff they don't necessarily want or need, and they're spending money month after month just because they're trying to get that fourth or fifth account that they need on their credit reports. Now, let me be clear that this new credit monitoring and the ability to add accounts to their existing business credit reports absolutely by no means replaces the need for vendor accounts. They still need to get vendor accounts because I'm going to show you real Experian business credit reports and show you what these accounts look like once they're added. And the key is that these are reporting as a different kind of account than the regular revolving credit. So in order to have a good credit mix and show that they're utilizing higher amounts of credit, they're going to want to make sure that they're still using vendor accounts. Vendor accounts still become very important. But what you and I also know is that as we navigate through the tiers of business credit building, then what determines how many accounts somebody may get here in step 5 versus step 6 is really one main reporting factor. And that main one account reporting factor is the fact that they can come in and get this. How many trade, oops, I just did like a bunch of things at once, and I think my computer just caught up to all of them. So what matters and determines what tier of credit building they're in is right here. How many of these trade accounts they have. The more they have, the more credit they can get. So the idea here is to help expedite our clients' business credit building by helping them add more trade lines even easier. Now, instead, or excuse me, and on top of going out and getting Uline and getting Quill and getting credit for the stuff they need, they can also take existing accounts they already have and add them to their actual business credit reports. So it just makes it easier than ever to do really two very important things. One, add initial credit. So instead of just relying on these starter vendors, we can now add utilities to help them get to their revolving credit even faster. And the second thing is on top of that, it's also very important for them to navigate through and have the trade lines that they're actually going to need here to be able to then go to the next tier and the next tier and the next tier. Basically, it opens up more layers of credit for them even faster because they're adding more trade lines to the accounts. And I educate on this all the time. Look, it's trade lines, trade lines, trade lines. If you want to build business credit, get a number of trade lines. And somebody says, yeah, but I need to be 3 years in business and have $1 million. I don't care what their website says. You give me somebody with 15 trades, I'll show you an approval from that revolving source all day long, even if you don't have the $1 million in years in business. It's trade lines, trade lines, trade lines. Now, don't get me wrong, longer time in business, millions of revenue helps you get even more credit, but you can still get it without that if you have the right trade lines that you need to get there, the right number. So volume of trades becomes very important. And this brand new way of adding these type of accounts makes it easier than ever to add more trade lines. So first, we've got these utilities. We've got water. We've got gas. We've got electric. We've got internet. We've got satellite TV. The next thing is we can also add cell phone. So cell phone payments. Now, AT&T can't be added because AT&T already reports. So this is a common thing. I mean, if somebody already reports to the reporting agencies, then it can't be added because they're already reporting. But if others like Verizon aren't reporting, then Verizon can still be added. So cell phone payment can be added as trade lines here too. And rent and lease payment can be added as trade lines as well. And again, first time any of that kind of stuff has been added. Now, if you're not familiar, you should be familiar with Dun & Bradstreet's Credit Builder. So D&B, as you can see, D&B Credit Builder. Okay, so D&B has a credit builder as well that you can actually buy. And this is $150 a month. And with Credit Builder, well, this is $200 a month for their premium. Let me see if I can get to the regular one. Well, it doesn't matter which one I'm looking at here. If you get to the Credit Builder program, for as little as $150 a month, somebody can actually add accounts to their D&B credit report. That's the idea. That's it in theory. Again, come down to D&B's Credit Builder page. Any of them, you'll see the small print D&B glossary, which, by the way, D&B doesn't like me, as you can probably imagine. D&B loves me. D&B credibility, not so much, because I reveal all their secrets. And so what they've done, as you can see, that's funny. First thing D&B did, I love that D&B. First thing D&B did was they literally made it small print. Check this out. So you see the font. I'm not going to change anything. This is their website. This is why we call it the small print. Look, that's hilarious. Their website literally zooms in and makes all of it micro. Okay, so let's make it bigger. So they've done a good job here because I've complained about it so much publicly that they've now come in and they've talked about what accounts you can add. This page used to only have the stuff you can't add. And so my argument was always that if you can't add any of this stuff, what can you add? So they finally addressed that with some of the stuff that you can add. But again, here's all the stuff that you cannot add. The following kinds of trade ailments are the ones that cannot be added. We can see here international companies, credit counseling. We see utilities and gas. We see virtual offices here as well. Okay, financial services, no banks, no credit unions, no insurance can be added. By the way, insurance can be added here as well. Okay, so a lot of the things that they're not letting you come in and add are still because they've never been able to add utilities. And I doubt that they've added lease and rent. I'm going to look here real quick to see if they do. Trade references that can be manually submitted. Okay, so I don't know if they have it here. Okay, so some companies already report it. Could be automatically reports. Appears to be untrustworthy. Okay, so they don't have it here or not. They just have virtual offices, but they've never allowed for rent or lease payments to get added as well. So the problem with D&B's Credit Builder has always been the same. If you can't add utility payments and you can't add rent and lease payments, what can you really add? And they finally address that by giving you some of the things that you can actually add. But again, if you look at it, not a lot of the stuff is not normal monthly bills that your customers are paying. They're not usually paying accounting every month. They don't usually have a lot of equipment leasing. Okay, cleaning services, computer services or repair, construction, remodeling, direct mail. So if you look through this list, very little of this stuff is stuff that you're reporting and paying every single month that you could have added. You could get your business cards printed and then have that add as a trade. So there are some things you can add. But again, if utility companies are what us as business owners pay normally, this is what we pay monthly, rent and lease, those are things D&B's Credit Builder has never let you add. So the nice thing is that first of all, this is the first time ever that you've been able to add accounts to Experian and to Creditsafe. And this is also, secondly, the huge benefit is that you can add all the accounts that Credit Builder will not accept, including you can also come in and add rent, you can add lease, you can add utility payments. So the question becomes, why? How? Let me explain what's actually gone on here. First of all, let's just look at Duke Energy. Duke Energy is our energy provider here down in Tampa, Florida, probably over the whole state of Florida. And let's just take a look at them to explain a little bit about how this works. The reason utility data has never been allowed on business credit reports before is because there's never been a reliable way to get the payment information from the utility company and get it to the reporting agencies in a way where the reporting agencies can depend and rely on it being accurate, right? So you can imagine all the credit reporting agencies, consumer and business do is they gather and sell data. So the one thing that they sell is data. So the one thing that's the most important to them is the quality of the data. The worst thing that could ever happen is a bureau is selling crappy data that's not accurate, then nobody relies on them, and then the main product that they sell goes away, right? So the problem is credit issuers and lenders will ever, these guys are used to reporting to the credit reporting agencies. They develop technology to get their payments to the reporting agencies seamlessly in a way that the reporting agencies depend on it, rely on it, all's good, they add it immediately to the reports. The problem is utility companies have never done this because they don't have a reason to. They never saw a benefit in taking utility payments and getting them added to credit reports before. They just never saw the benefit was worth them actually coming in and building their technology and doing the things that are needed. So to this day, utility accounts and have never been able to be added to business credit reports in a reliable way. So what's been done now is that the technology has been created, not by us, but we found another small reporting agency that's been working on and working with many partners to develop technology to actually come in. And what the technology does is exactly what you would manually do. They click sign in. The technology then follows the exact steps to log into your account and to access that payment history. Now, if you think about that, there's usually what, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps involved, right? We click sign in, we enter username, we enter password, right? Then we click sign in, then we're in. Then we have to find where our payment history is. Then we have to click to access that. Then we have to click to download. There's a series of steps we have to do it. Think about getting your bank statements. If you want to get your bank statements online, you log into your bank account. You click some things, it takes you to a point where you access your bank statements, you find the month you want, you click it, you download it, right? This is the newest shift in the world you and I live in, is now you have lenders out there like Fundbox, for example, like Bluevine, that are using this artificial intelligence that go into your bank account, like let's say Bank of America. What they're doing is going into Bank of America electronically. So what they're doing is they're getting your login information here to Bank of America, and then what their technology is doing is their technology goes to Bank of America, enters username, enters password, clicks sign in, goes to get your bank statements. Okay, and I shouldn't even pull it. I don't even like Bank of America. I don't even know why I haven't pulled up. As a matter of fact, they annoy me so much I'm gonna pull up Regis because I don't like them. All right, so let's go to Regis. Okay, so the same thing. You go to a bank here, okay, and then what they do is their technology goes, okay, here's the username, here's the password, right? Here's login, here's access your statements, here's 7 steps that we take, and the technology does it for them. The benefit of people getting loans is that they no longer have to supply bank statements, right? Because the bank statements are all now being obtained electronically. This is the new age, right? We started to first see this with Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loan. And Rocket Mortgage developed this technology to go in and get documents that you would normally supply for a mortgage that are publicly available, and then they just pull them electronically for you, or not even publicly available. They get your login credentials and they electronically pull them. And what it does for you is it saves you the ability to have to supply paperwork. Well, now we started to see this technology spread out to here where it makes this possible. Now the technology is created where technology goes, okay, click sign in, enter username, enter password, and then what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to follow these steps and get the actual records. And this technology has been shown to the reporting agencies. Experian's the first one on board to say, oh, we're in. Now, for the first time ever, we see data in a way that it's reliable enough for us to want to add this stuff to the account. Because look, when you see things like what we see here with Dun & Bradstreet, the question becomes, well, why are these jerks not letting you add it? Well, it's not because they're jerks. Well, they are, D&B credibility, but not for this reason. So it's not that they're jerks for that reason. It's that they've just never had the technology to be able to do it, and they've never chose to go out and get the technology for every single utility company in the United States to do it. So they have a need, they have a desire, they have a want for this information. The technology just haven't existed until this new age of technology through Quicken Loans and through, Regions Bank and these through these bank account or these lenders that are doing Fundbox and Bluevine. They're developing these technology APIs. Even now, credit reporting agencies are now coming in and getting the data electronically, the same as you would, in a reliable way that it could then be added to the credit reports. So this is why, for the first time ever, we can now see this information that's never been allowed on business credit reports onto the actual business credit reports. Now, that being said, this is exactly what we're testing for. The problems with this process are that if you think about how many utility companies there are in the United States, let's just sum it up as a heck of a lot, right? Because my electric company is probably different than yours. The one in Tampa is different than the one in San Diego. The one in San Diego is different than the one in Fresno. That's different than the one in Indianapolis. We're all using different utility companies. So stage one, the technology has to be built to manually go in, or not manually, but the technology is built to go in and follow all these steps to access the reports. So there are going to be some utility companies that can't get reported yet. The link hasn't been created. Now, the tech is being created for us in those scenarios as we go, but what we don't know yet is that Duke Energy will take 30 days to report, and another one could take 90 because the technology isn't built yet. That's what we still don't know. That's why this is getting released in a beta test. We don't know that. The second thing and concern is that these links are all based on a series of steps. Go to Duke Energy, click sign in, enter username, enter password, click sign in, go to this point, click here, click here. If Duke Energy changes anything on their website, anything, if they move the sign-in link, if they add a step, if they remove a step, it breaks the link. Then the account stops getting reported. We get alerted and then have to go through a process for them to rebuild the link for it to work as it's supposed to. So this is brand new technology. And part of the nice thing about being part of using early technologies, you're an early adopter, right? You're a trendsetter, okay? I was the guy that paid somebody literally overnight to stand in line at the Verizon store to get, Verizon, to get the iPhone, the first iPhone. I was that guy. I didn't wait in line, but I paid a guy all night to wait in line. And then I got in, I was first in line. I was like the second person at that store to go get the iPhone. I'm an early adopter. I'm a trendsetter. And I can tell you I had all kinds of problems with my phone. I was the guy that got the iPhone when the antenna thing was broken and it wasn't getting reception. And I'm that guy. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with quirks. I'm fine with issues. I'm fine with problems. I'm fine with paying a premium for a service because I like to be first one here. I like to be the early adopter. That's the same thing here. We're looking for only early adopters into this beta test. We're looking for the trendsetters because, in being an early adopter and trendsetter, we have to know that these kind of issues are going to occur. This is exactly why we're not releasing it to your clients yet. I'm telling you about it because I don't want you to hear about this through other sources and then say, hey, why the heck didn't I tell us that this is going on? But we're releasing this in our Facebook group first. Like if we get 50 people out of our Facebook group, we're not even, and I'll tell you guys so you can get in if you want to as well, we're not even going to send emails. Nothing else happens because we need to test these things. We need to figure out, one, What utility companies are more problematic than others? Like I said, we know now that AT&T won't report because they already report. We didn't know that weeks ago. Now we do. So we need more information to set proper expectations in the future when people come in. What accounts are harder to add than others? Which account providers are harder to add than others? Which one could take 30 days? Which one could take 90 days because they're more problematic? Which ones can never get added? Which ones just take a little bit longer to get added? Hey, what happens when a link is broken? How long does it take us to rebuild that link? These are things we don't yet know. The main three factors that we're looking at, main two and sub three, is one, how long does it take each one of these accounts to get reported? Now, to answer that question, I can tell you that all goes well, 30 days. That's what we're seeing. 30 days they're on the report. All doesn't go well, they either don't get added or it takes 90 days for them to get added if that link needs to be recreated. So we need to know more information to release this and comfortably as an actual product. The second thing we need to know, again, beyond is, if I said it wrong, the first one is which providers are more problematic. The second one is how long these accounts take to add. We're seeing them go 30 days if all goes well. Some take longer. Which ones take longer and why? We need to know that. And the third sub factor we're testing, what happens when this company changes their website and that link becomes broken? Can we add the history? Do we have to add history moving forward? How long does it take to correct? We don't know these things. This is part of being an early adopter of a technology. And I can tell you that this was a big discussion between our COO and my business partner, Megan, and I, because Megan and I were like, okay, what do we do? This isn't us. We test elaborate before we even think about releasing something. This is like, we know it, we tested it enough to know it works, but not enough to know it was 100% stable where we know it will work all the time. And that was a big discussion with us. But what it came down to is this: we can't not do this. We can't. If we're going to be the leaders in business credit, we have to be willing to take the risks and get in and try things that have never been done before. We have to be willing to test technology like this to help the bureaus all figure out what works and what doesn't, so then they become more comfortable, and then this becomes more commonplace for everybody to be able to access. So I need to stress this because we are not rolling this out to your clients yet because we're not comfortable enough with the stability. We don't have enough information to tell everybody up front all the expectations they should have. We're only talking to people and bringing them in that clearly understand it's a beta and that get the benefit of being an early adopter to see the accounts added on the credit reports, but also know that we're testing a bunch of things and that patience is of the essence as we figure these things out, because literally you're going to be learning things that we're learning, and we're both learning them in real time. And that's the benefit of being an early adopter, right? So that's exactly what we are testing for and how this will work. When it comes to investment, it's going to be $99 a month, cancel anytime. So it's $99 a month. You can add as many utility accounts as you want. Now, again, that's something we negotiated. The real cost is that you have to pay every single month per every single trade line you add. We negotiated it. So then that way you don't have to worry about that. You can add the trade lines that you want to add. And again, we may change that in due time after this beta. If somebody starts to add, everybody adds 50 accounts, then it could be problematic, but we don't expect that to happen. So you can add any of the accounts that you want to add, as many as you want to add. Okay, access Creditsafe, access the D&B Experian and the upcoming Equifax for the 99, cancel anytime, and the 99 gets reported to Creditsafe. And then again, we're testing this, but some of the changes that will come out, and we expect to come out, so you know, is that when our tests are into this testing process, we are then going to do two things. First of all, this product that's front facing and not part of our finance suite, you can add utilities, you can add cell phone, you can add rent and lease. Now, for our clients, your clients and our clients and you, okay, that will also open up to third-party services. So that means that if you have other people outside of utilities, you have software companies like we pay Infusionsoft for our CRM, that kind of stuff will be able to get added. And we will be taking your payments to us to Creditsafe, okay, and We will also be taking your payments to, or we will be taking your payments to us, to Credit Suite, and we will be adding them to Experian as well. We already add them to Creditsafe, but we will be using the same technology to take your payments and help you build business credit with Experian in due time, not right now. Right now, all we care about is testing the stability of all of this. Then when we become comfortable and say, okay, we're cool, we're stable, we know which accounts will report, we know how long, we know this stuff, then we start sending them our data, and we make sure that the payments that you're paying us for prepaid enrollments, for your original enrollment, for your monthly payments, for your executive, all that will get added to Experian as well. But that will happen in due time. So what I'm telling you is that there will be a separation here. And Peter says that he's having issues with my mic cutting out, with me cutting out. So if anybody else is having that issue, type it in here so I know there's an audio issue. Otherwise, you might want to log out and log back in. Peter, sometimes that fixes it. So again, right now, the payments made to this will get reported to Creditsafe. In due time, all payments paid to us, we will be using this technology to report to Experian, but there's a lot of things that we want to test before that actually happens. Now, let's take a look and see what this actually looks like when you actually have the real business credit reports. So for example, here is exactly what this looks like on a Creditsafe credit report. So this is a Creditsafe credit report. And you can see here that all the trade information is down here, all the trade lines. And we can see right here, there's a utility account here and a utility account here. Now, this is not an actual, or this is an actual report. It's just not one I just pulled. I had pulled this, I think, I don't know, a few months ago. I used it as my example. So here is the utility account. You could see one of them added here. You can see the second utility accounts added right here, 100% paid as agreed. So this is what we're seeing on the actual credit reports. And this is really cool because I've looked at, I don't know, like a few business credit reports in my time. And this is the first time ever in my entire life that I've seen this word on a credit report before. I've never seen utilities added, which is pretty cool to actually get to see that added on a credit report. So here's what it actually will show like as trade lines on the credit report. Now, again, look at this. Trade line experiences, continuous trades, okay? Additional trade line experiences, aged trades. This is a big deal, guys. Do you understand what this means? Aged trades. This is also the first time in history ever that we've been able to backdate accounts on business credit reports. We've been able to actually take accounts with previous history and get them added to Experian credit reports and to business credit reports. It's never been done before. So aged history is pretty cool, but this is what we're looking at too. Where do these accounts report? How do these accounts report? Now, the problem is in our initial beta where we kept it under wraps and didn't tell everybody about it, we didn't have the platform, we were just taking the thing for a test drive. The problem is we didn't have enough accounts to figure all this out. We still don't. We need like 100 accounts reporting to be able to have any kind of really good idea of this is exactly where 90% of the accounts go. Here's how they're reported. Here's the ones that we think are problematic, which Duke Energy for us has been problematic. Okay, we got it added, then they changed their technology. So these are things that we're still figuring out through the actual beta test. So this is what it actually looks like on Experian reports. And again, it all starts right here. So in order to make this work, what we need is basically the basic information from the business owner. Then we need this. We need what's needed to access their login. Okay, so that includes the date they open their account. It includes the username. It includes their password. We've got to get their date of birth and their identifying number as well. And we also have to have their actual username, their password. And then we also need to have their account number. That was the other thing I'd forgot. And then we also need to make sure, and I don't know, I just said this for the fourth thing, username, password, account number. And then we also need the date they open the account. And we're going to need that on every single account. What will happen when information is entered here is this information will go to our team, okay? We don't even trust this technology enough to let the technology do what it's supposed to do. We assigned a babysitter to the technology. As a matter of fact, we're assigning a babysitting team to this technology. And what's happened is it goes to our team. Our team will then manually use the technology to make sure it works as it's supposed to track the results until those accounts get added, and then we'll then regularly check on the accounts to make sure that the accounts are staying reported as they're supposed to. So all this information gets sent to our team, and then we've got our team sitting at the wait to actually go through, get the accounts added through the technology link to the reporting agencies, verify the reporting of the accounts, and then continue to make sure that the accounts are linked and don't become disconnected. Okay, so that's all the information they're going to enter is all their identifying information. You see 7% here, step of 1 through 14. We got to shorten that up. But the reason it's so many is because we're allowing them to add a bunch of other trade lines, meaning we're allowing them to add all these trade lines. That's why there's so many pages. If they don't want to add like 10 trades, well, then they don't have 14 pages. They're going to move through those steps pretty quick. But my advice, knowing that only some accounts here are reporting and some accounts might not report, my advice is that you, first of all, if you're thinking about getting in on this beta, don't even think about it. If you like want to add your cell phone, just don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it for you at this point in time. Wait. But if you do have like 5 accounts, 6 accounts, 3 accounts, 7 accounts that you can add, then do it. Because in order for this to make sense, you really should be coming in with a volume of accounts, then anticipating and expecting that only some of those may get reported in 30 days. And the other ones of those may not get reported for 60 days, 90 days. Some won't report. I don't want you to submit 2 and then find out that 1 doesn't report and only 50% of what you got reported. You may submit 2 and 2 of them got reported in 30 days with no issues. And just so you know, this is from the very first one of these we did. We added 2 accounts, and 30 days later, the accounts showed on the report. Boom, done. So both of them worked exactly as they should have. But again, I'm coming up and like saying, worst case scenario, could take 90 days. Some might not get added. We're not really running into a lot of that. But again, I want to at least set that expectation that this could have those problems. So then that way, nobody's coming in and having anything happen that's unexpected. So this is the advanced credit monitoring platform. And again, this is how this is going to go down. Okay, at creditsuite.com/monitoring. Right now, if you went there, you could actually access the Experian and DNB credit reports. Within a day or two, by the end of the week, that page is going to be swapped out with a page that will give you an option between the advanced credit monitoring and the actual regular credit monitoring. And that page will be up until we get 50 people in the beta, and then we shut it down. Then it goes away, and nobody that ever saw it never even knew it was there. And then it stays away. And we keep it away probably for 6 months is what I'm anticipating. I'm anticipating a 6-month test. Again, I'm hoping that 60, 90 days in, we have enough data to do a full rollout. But I think it could be the end of second quarter before we start to see this as a product available to your clients in the back end as an option, and some other things as well. Or to general that we put it out there, leaving it available for your clients as well. Now, when we come to client availability, I need to talk about something here too, because this is the very first of a major shift that's taking place here. The reality is we've had an extremely, extremely hard time and very expensive time trying to maintain white label. It's been very difficult. And in initial surveying our partners and about rolling out the actual platform where you can submit customers directly to us through Premier Partner and have them all handled for you, where we're actually coming in and we're doing all of the work for you, what we've realized is that a lot of clients aren't trying to hide from our brand. They want the power of our brand behind them to add credibility to what they're doing. So what started to happen is white label's not going away. Don't worry about it. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be available for you guys. But this is the first of many new rollouts and features where it's just no longer cost effective for us to do this in a white label version. It just can't be done. There's too much involved here with emails, with username, with login, with credentials, with using other technology that we can't rely on the fact that Credit Suite's name won't show up. It just can't happen. So this will only be available at that time if you're interested in not worrying about them being exposed to Credit Suite's brand. If you still want the white label, no worries. Your clients just can't access this ever, because the reality is that we can't do this in a way where we're hiding our brand. It just won't work. So when it does roll out 6 months down the road, it will be the first of many ongoing rollouts and features that just will not be available to people that are using white label, because it's just no longer cost effective for us to do that for the extremely small percentage of partners that actually still want to do white label. The rest are like, dude, let you close it. We'll do it, and we want your name and brand because that's what adds the reputation. We're starting to figure this out, and we're starting to realize that a very minute percentage of our partners even really care or want the white label, and it doesn't make sense for us to develop double the technology every time we have a rollout because of that. So this is going to be available for those that don't care about white label. If you want white label, no problem. What will happen down the road is you're just going to have an option of clicking white label or not. And when you don't click white label, then you'll have all kinds of additional features and options where it's easier for us to roll out and maintain those without worrying about breaking white label. Okay, so when it does roll out, probably 6 months down the road, probably mid-year, then it will be available to your clients. They will be able to then take things like third-party services and add it to business credit reports. At that time, or even before, your payments will start getting reported to Experian as they already are getting added to Creditsafe. And this will then become available to everybody that's not selecting white label upon adding a client, where their clients will then have access to this too. Because as you can imagine, being able to add accounts they already have to their business credit reports becomes a ridiculously strong selling feature for you. So some things to expect and come along there. Now, the next stage of this rollout, second half of the year, will include the fundability score as well. And if you're not familiar with the fundability score, I'll tell you a little bit about how fundability actually works. So what we've recently done is we've partnered with a company called LexisNexis. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with LexisNexis or not, but LexisNexis is one of the biggest data providers to a lot of lenders, credit issuers, even the bureaus themselves. So if you're not familiar with how this whole process works, and I talked about this on a front-facing on a front-facing webinar the other day, is that you've got the SBFE, right? The SBFE is where a lot of information actually gets reported that a lot of people don't know about. So the SBFE is called the Small Business Finance Exchange. Okay, you can see right here the Small Business Financial Exchange. So the SBFE, what happens is this is an organization that's nonprofit, that's owned by lenders or members, where all members submit their information, okay? And then what happens is other members get information from that data pool. It's a data warehouse. Okay, so for example, Bank of America is a member. Bank of America submits all your application data, your loan performance data, everything to SBFE, and then every other bank and credit issuer that wants to get it accesses that same data. So if you've had problems before, as many have, where they've actually come in and had discrepancies, and you hear us talk about this all the time, stage one, how important step one is, then what happens is that a lot of this data is coming from the Small Business Financial Exchange. So SBFE has the data. The credit bureaus, which are called vendors, including Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, Equifax, they get data from the Small Business Financial Exchange, and then you see that front facing. LexisNexis is a house of all of this information. LexisNexis, just, you know, guys, it has more information about you than you'll ever feel comfortable with the world ever knowing about. It's honestly absolutely ludicrous and insane. They have every email address you've ever had, every school you've ever attended, every license you've ever obtained. My pilot's license, my mortgage license is on my report. When you got married, when you got divorced, if you got a divorce. They have every speeding ticket you've ever had, every traffic violation, every crime you've ever committed is on there, every home you've ever owned, the building materials that went into your home, 1-story, 2-story, square footage, air conditioning, garages, all of that is public information. Every time you've ever had or canceled an insurance policy is there. The vehicles vehicles that you've owned, every vehicle in the lifetime of owning a vehicle is there. Everything is there. When I actually showed this to my wife, I said, you got to see this. And just so you know, my LexisNexis credit report is almost 300 pages, and so is yours. So what happens is she was so insulted that this information was publicly available, and that's exactly what everybody's impression is when they first see it. So we approached LexisNexis and we said, this is insane. Like, the fact that you have all this and that people don't know it doesn't make sense. Can we partner with you to bring your information to the front? So instead of lenders and credit issuers and insurance providers being the only ones that can see it, so everybody can see it. Because what happens is they're getting information from the Small Business Financial Exchange. Okay, then a lot of people are using LexisNexis data to then make all kinds of decisions. So for example, a lot of loan applications are denied because lenders think it's fraud because the information on the actual application you're submitting does not match what they're accessing on their data pool in the back end. It's coming from LexisNexis data. So we've already partnered with them, signed the deal, getting data from them as we speak. It's rolling in. And what we're doing is we're taking their information. We're then going to put it into a score and a side-by-side comparison. So people that come in here into building their business credit in step one will be able to enter all the information like they would an application. We cross-check the information against what's actually with LexisNexis, what's being housed in the Small Business Financial Exchange. We tell them of every single discrepancy side by side and score them. We then help them fix the discrepancies so then they can go in and make sure that they're applying and they don't have any of these factors that typically get them denied. Most people don't know 89% of business loan applications are denied. More than half of them, from everything I've read, comes from denials because of potential fraud. The lender's scared about fraud. It's not because you didn't qualify. They got it because the business name, the address, the phone number doesn't match what they're accessing on the back end. We're taking the back end data that they're getting, we're bringing it to the forefront for the first time ever so people can actually see it side by side. That will be released as part of this advanced credit monitoring platform. That will be another feature here where they're able to come in and access that, and that will be available to your clients as well, probably. Don't quote me on this, but probably without having to pay for it. They're probably going to have to pay for advanced credit monitoring, but they're probably not going to have to pay for the Lexis data. The next data at this time, that could easily change. We're 6 months away from a rollout there probably, but that's the next feature you're going to see roll out here. The fundability score, the comparison of what your business, what you're saying about your business compared to the data that lenders have, meet this criteria so you could basically already be set to a point where you're doing exactly what the lender wants you to do. As a matter of fact, when we actually started to approach lenders with this, like the major conventional banks, they're all like, okay, so you're going to pre-screen these people basically. And we're like, I guess that's what you could call it. We're just making sure that they're legitimate and that everything that they actually are entering is consistent with what's going on in the back end LexisNexis data. And we're partnering with LexisNexis to do this. And they're standing in line because they want that data. They're like, if you could pre-screen where we're not seeing all these fraud applications, the value is endless. So that's ultimately what's happening here is we're able to pre-screen these applications to give people the best chance of getting approved for loans. So that's not happening right now. I'm just giving you an idea of 2019. There's a lot of stuff we're rolling out, but this will be the first, and the LexisNexis and the fundability will get added later as well, which for the first time ever brings the same information that lenders, credit issuers, insurance providers are using on the back end to validate your business to the forefront so you can validate your own business, get everything fixed, and then have the best chance of going in and actually getting approved for financing. So that'll be the next thing that will happen. So again, to clarify, this will be at creditsuite.com/monitoring probably as soon as tomorrow by the end of the week. I don't expect it to stay up longer than a week or so because all I'm looking for is 50 users. Once we get the 50 users in there, then we shut it down. We do all of our testing. And then when we do the full rollout, possibly 6 months later, we'll know exactly the accounts that can't be added. And we'll also know how long everything takes to report, all of those details. But again, you know the steps to take if you wanted to be the early adopter in. I'm not telling you this to try to bring you in as an early adopter. The reality is we got 50 spots and Last time I checked, I have 170 on the wait list, so I'm not worried about filling the 50 spots. And if you want in as a partner, you'd have a priority over somebody that's not. But the only reason I'm telling you this is because I don't want you to hear through the grapevine, be part of our Facebook group, and start to see that we're releasing this outside of us, you, our partners, our clients, and wonder why. I just want you to know this is why. We don't feel comfortable enough to release it until the beta is done. And for this beta, we're not going to our client database. We're going to go to people that maybe and probably aren't even clients to actually test this first, because we want to make sure when we roll it out to our clients and your clients that it's completely stable, that we know everything, we have the right expectations to make it easier on you and easier on us as well. So any other questions you have, go ahead and get them typed in. I want to make sure that all those questions are answered, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is some firsts for sure. It's the first time we're really directly exposing you and our clients in the future to Creditsafe. It's the first time that we're actively going about making sure payments get reported to Creditsafe to help Creditsafe reports start getting established to give you more credibility for the lenders and credit issuers they're accessing. It's the first time ever that utilities are being added to any kind of business credit report. First time ever that lease and rent is getting added to business credit reports. First time ever you've had the ability to add accounts through even third party to Experian and to Creditsafe business credit reports as well. And by the way, this is the first step. The technology will hopefully in the future also be rolled out to D&B and Equifax as well. And the goal here is to put D&B, Equifax, Experian, and Creditsafe all in one platform and give you the ability to add items to all of them as well. That's the longer term goal. But the first wins are Experian and Creditsafe where we are now, and that's a look into the future of what we hope to accomplish over the next couple years. And of course, later next year, we'll also start to see the rollout of fundability of LexisNexis data being available for the first time ever to front-facing consumers, which, by the way, was an interesting conversation with LexisNexis because we said, why aren't you doing this? And they said, we always have wanted to. We've always wanted to have front-facing data. We've just waited for a provider to come in and make it happen. And we're like, okay, we're the provider. We'll do it. And it was actually really shocking to us how easy it was to work with LexisNexis, because some of the other reporting agencies, they give us so much grief because we help unveil this and let everybody know how the business credit building system works. But it's really, really, really pretty cool that our clients are for the first time ever going to have this greater ability of transparency to see what lenders and credit issuers see about them and have a choice to do something about it. And then also at the same time, being able to access all these reports in one place and be able to use accounts they already have to add history, expediting the business credit building. So I'm going to wrap this up and answer any questions you guys have, and then we will wrap up. Can you add utilities in your name for your business or only your business name? You can add them for both, either or. Your individual name or your business name. So our question was, hey, look, if they're using utilities and they work from home, can those be added? And the answer is yes, they can be. But you and I both know that your electric at your house is not at a business name. So those absolutely can be added, yes. Will this work for home-based decay utility accounts? Yes, it will. This is the very first question we were asked, the very first question that we verified. It will work for home-based utility accounts because we anticipate that people have home-based businesses. The bottom line is there is no treating home utility and business utility differently. That doesn't exist. A utility is a utility. A cell phone is a cell phone. Okay, it doesn't matter if the cell phone or utility is in the business of personal name. The bottom line is if you're using electric in your personal name because you're operating a home-based business, we expect that electric to be able to be added even if it's you as an individual. And we have verified that information that yes, absolutely, personal accounts can be added because we're anticipating that a lot of people are actually working from home. We're anticipating a lot of home-based businesses are that way. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Now you know what the stir is about. Once this comes out, you know the step if you want to take it. I think that nobody else knows this yet, but I'm just waiting for my dev to finish up some things. And I think as soon as tomorrow or sometime this week, that monitoring will roll out over the next week or so. So if you want to get in, you can. And if you ever, for example, wanted to get in and couldn't, then reach out to our support team. But again, the purpose of this isn't to try to sell you on something to get in. I just need to disclose that all this is happening so you're not, as partners, caught by surprise when you start to see it maybe pop up here and there that people are participating in the beta. Can my utilities under another business be added to my LLC business? I'm doing my credit builder. Yeah, you should be able to. Like I said, utilities don't have a discrepancy, so you can add the utility accounts on there. We've never seen this individual case before, Laura. So even though we've been told that all these utilities can be added, doing a utility in one business name and adding it to another business credit report seems a little sketchy, just so you know. But from what we verified and asked, this absolutely can be done. But these will be the type of things with beta that we're going to know for sure one way or the other. But everything we've been told from every step along the way is that utilities can be added. Doesn't matter if it's in a personal or that business, another business name, as long as it's a utility account. I have more than one business. That's why one is new. I get it. But if you have a utility in one business name, you probably don't want to try to add that to another business credit report. It's just in bad taste, not to mention that maybe can create problems for you down the road. Just trying to help you avoid problems. That's it. But we'll try it. Again, it's a beta. The cool thing about being a beta is let's do it. Let's go. Let's do it. Anything goes. Let's do it. From what we verified, the utility and who's a name the utility in won't matter, but we are cool with testing any and all things here because our goal is to figure out how this works. Let's take it for a test drive. Let's abuse it. Let's beat the thing up. Let's Range Rover this thing. If you ever test drove a Range Rover, they would take you over rocks and all kinds of stuff. Let's do that. Let's just abuse this thing and then see when it's done and we bring it back all dirty and like bent and like dented up. And we're like, yeah, that was awesome. That worked. Then we all know exactly the stress that this thing could take for it to work as anticipated. What if the home address for the utility is different? Guys, none of this stuff matters. It just doesn't matter. All that matters is the fact that you have a utility account. If you have the utility account, if the address doesn't match up, none of that's being verified. All that's being used is that we're supplying the login information. They're going in and getting it, accessing the history, and putting the history on the report. So the address being different, the names being different, the personal versus business, none of that stuff, I will say should be, none of that stuff should be a factor. Per the reporting agencies, it's not a factor. But again, we don't know. I haven't seen every one of these scenarios that you're describing, so I can't say definitively because I haven't seen it with my own eyes. But I can tell you from asking these same questions and getting verification from them that there should be no issues with what you're actually asking there, Ralph. So the site will open soon, like we can sign up in the next few days. The page does not now show. No, it's not. As I mentioned, Alan, if you go to creditsuite.com/monitoring, the page isn't up yet because even though the technology, as you can see, exists and is ready, my dev team is building the connection and link between the order form being completed and the login email going to you with login credentials. That's what's being built right now, which isn't much. I already built the order form. I just needed to build a little bit of technology, which is not even any tech, just plug some stuff in. I'm waiting for that. The problem is I've been burned 100 times in the past quoting things from my dev team, but I can tell you that this is the only project. We've sidelined every project until this is live. This is our whole entire dev team's priority. So right now, this we're looking at should be live sometime this week. So what I want you to do is just check Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you check Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, one of those days you're going to see, boom, the page changes. There's two options. Then open enrollment becomes available. And I expect it to expire by the end of next week when we get our 50 people in that beta that will either come in from you guys in the Facebook group. Maybe I'll send an email out, but it won't typically go to partners because, again, I want people that aren't even clients to test this thing. I take it for a test drive, but you guys I trust. And the reason I say I trust that, you is because I'm just saying that I need people that clearly understand it's a beta, what we're testing, that are going to be patient, that are going to be the ones that are cool being the early adopters, but know that things aren't going to work exactly okay to be the ones here. And I would never test something like this with your client base. So that's why we're doing it. A great big yes, huge Christmas and Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. Same to you, Alan. And I appreciate that because I will not see you for Christmas. I will be out next week. We will not have this because next Tuesday is Christmas. And although I would love to be here, but I also love being married. And I love having kids and living in the same house as my kids. And I have a real fear that if I'm here doing webinars on Christmas, that the other things, including the family, might be in jeopardy. So I will miss you guys, but I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. A lot of new things to come with 2019. The LexisNexis, adding accounts to Experian and Creditsafe credit reports, utilities. This is crazy that we are going to have these kind of functionality, and a lot of other very cool things will be rolling down the pipe soon for you guys as well. So I hope you have a happy holiday. And if you have any questions, then feel free to reach out to us. If you reach out to our contact us on our partner support team and they don't know how to answer your questions, it's because, again, we're all learning as we go here. So just be patient as we're getting answers to the questions as you guys are getting them as well. Thank you all very much. I hope you have a happy holiday. I look forward to seeing you after the Christmas break. Let me see when's New Year's here. Am I out New Year's? Oh, I am out. We will see you guys in 3 weeks. This is the first time ever. Wow, first time in history, which has been 5 years that I've ever not done a webinar for you guys as partners 2 weeks in a row. But next week is Christmas. The next week is New Year's. So I will see you guys on the 8th of January. If you need anything else along the way, just reach out to your partner success team. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Have a happy holiday.